Good morning, friends. I've got a bunch of garden chores to do today. I need to do some extra watering. I need to harvest more of our winter produce, our lettuce, peas, cauliflower. I have a few more oranges on this tree I need to somehow get from the very back. I need to flip some compost, which is probably going to be a whole separate video because I am ready finally to sift it and actually add it to my beds. So that's going to be a whole other process. I also need to fill some more beds. Story of my life. Possibly, if I have enough time, I want to sow some more starts and seeds. So let's get started. Sorry, little plant, you got missed. So I think there are 2 or 3 oranges on the very back of my orange tree. Oh, and there's one down there that I need to maneuver around to get to. Let's see if I can get these last oranges without hurting myself. This is calling for my heavy-duty long gloves. I love these gloves. They're from Work Pro. The link is in the description, and I love them because they're made with suede and canvas. Oh, hi bees. So these thorns aren't gonna get me. This one. Please don't sting me. I'm not gonna hurt you. Free. Thank you, Miss Orange Tree. You did awesome this year. My roses are definitely gearing up for the spring. All the green here, if you look even just back a couple videos, none of this was here. I'm really excited for my roses this year because last year they struggled a bit. I had a lot of blossoms in the back top area of that trellis because I planted too many things down here that shaded out the bottom area. And this is another area where I have quite a dilemma. You can see the depth here. That's probably about 8 inches. I'd really like it to be at the very bottom of that corrugated metal. And the problem though that I'm going to have is I don't want to bury that base of my rose plants because that's just not a good thing to do. So I've got to come up with a little bit of a game plan, a solution for that, but I'll think of something. But I'm definitely not going to be planting anything tall in this area, just so they can get the maximum sun that they can get in the back there. This is my celery is definitely ready to be harvested. That's one of the things I need to do today, as well as a few asparagus. I haven't really talked lately about my in-ground bed that I've been trying for years to grow in. I think I mentioned in another video that I added a few rounds of drip emitters, and that was definitely the trick. It has just exploded. And what's funny is I didn't even go back after adding that irrigation and add any more seeds or plant anything. This is all volunteer from at least 6 months or more. The only thing that I did plant is I have a patch of leftover garlic over there, and they're doing really, really well, surprisingly. I thought they were just kind of going to die off because of the ground being so hard, but they are actually doing as well as my in-bed garlic. So we've got a lot of poppies about to bloom over here. This is all larkspur, the purple flowers you see here. This is a hollyhock that kind of revived itself after a couple of seasons. We've got some weeds. Hidden among all the volunteer poppies is my garlic. So I'm going to go through here and do some weeding. To me, this looks a little crazy, and this is after several thinnings. It's definitely finally come to life, and it's all due to that drip irrigation, I'm sure. So. Finally got some decent kale at the end of the season, of course, but better late than never. There's only one kind of kale that I really like. It's this blue dwarf, I think, and it's really tender. It doesn't have a lot of that rough, spiky flesh that a lot of kale has, in my opinion. All right, I have not harvested any of this celery yet. That was my attempt at putting a toilet paper roll around to keep it bunched up. I guess I needed to kind of secure it better, but regardless, it's celery. Definitely not big enough for ants on a log. Did you ever have those? There's a lot of bees on here. Those are the coolest things ever. I honestly can't tell you what variety this is. It's either green arrow, or I don't know, I'll look it up. I have always loved peas, and I always want to grow more every year. Okay, I think there's a lot more on here, but they're not quite ready. I'm gonna trellis these up a little bit better. Still a little. Wow. The other thing you can do with over-ripened peas is let them stay on the vine and dry completely out, and then save them as your pea seeds for the next year. So the way I sow my carrots is probably not the right way. I try to evenly sort of broadcast them, but I don't do a lot of thinning after they start growing, and it looks like there's 2 or 3 really close together, because I'd rather let them grow, albeit a little smaller as they're growing together and kind of competing for space. But then when I'm coming through and harvesting, then it's my way of kind of succession sowing, if that makes sense. I'll pull one out and let the other one take over the spot where its competition was. I've done that for several seasons, and I really kind of like that, because I don't need 100 carrots all at once. And this is the first year I've grown foxglove. This is the peach Dalmatian. It's so pretty and so big. I didn't realize they were as big as they are. I have 3 of them that are still coming into bloom. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this guy up. He's really small, but I think it's time. No pests so far. It's pretty amazing. He's pretty small, but that's okay. I'll still eat it. My last cauliflower. Not bad. Need to give some of this lettuce away. There's just so much of it. That's a good problem. But I am going to let some of it go to seed. So this is my bib lettuce, and it usually does grow pretty well. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Yeah, I'm going to be calling the neighbors and asking them about their bib lettuce needs. Give some to my sons. I'll leave this guy to go to seed. I don't even have enough room in my garden hod for that. Look at they're spiraling around each other. That is so cool. Oh, that's a good one. Oh, wow. Oh, that's a good one. Carrots are so deceiving. You can pull the tallest carrot tops and think, oh, that's the biggest carrot in the bunch, and it's not, because this one was not the tallest. Oh, that red one's going. There we go. Pull that guy. Good looking carrots here. One red one in the bunch. All right. I don't even have my lettuce in here, but my basket is full. I'm gonna go rinse these, unload this one, and come back and get my lettuce. just gave my Calendula plant a haircut, and my prediction is that when I come back in about 2 or 3 days, this is all going to be filled with more pretty orange flowers. This thing is just pumping out blooms, and I love it. So while the plants in my new beds are still small and just getting started, I wanted to add these ladder mesh blocks as trellises. And I got this idea from Angela from Growing in the Garden. If you haven't checked out her channel, you definitely should. She gardens in Phoenix, Arizona, and she is just a wealth of knowledge. And these are a really cheap and easy way to add a really sturdy trellis to your beds. Then I'm also preemptively adding these vine clips that I picked up a while back, just so I have them all ready to go once my tomatoes and other vining plants reach that stage. Hey friends, so today I'm going to focus on this garden bed right here. I need to plant out some pepper seedlings as well as plant some pole beans, and in my ongoing struggle and effort to raise the level of my soil, I'm going to be adding some of my finished sifted compost. I'm actually going to be lifting up the pepper plants that are already in here that have come back from being overwintered. They did really well. I'm literally going to raise them like 8 inches. I did it over in another bed and it was successful, so I'll show you that. So for reference, you can see how far the soil is down from the edge of the planter, and I really would like it more up to about here. So I'm going to be lifting up this serrano pepper and this bell pepper. Here I have some pole beans that are still growing from, I want to say, the summer. They overwintered actually and stayed alive. These are rattlesnake and purple pole beans. These are from Renee's. I've used this pack for at least 3 years. I like to let them fully dry and they get really long. So this is just a baby. I'll be adding some more beans along this trellis and this little additional trellis I put here. Also in this bed I have a bunch of flowers. So I have some snapdragons here. I have a volunteer sunflower, and you have to see this Queen Anne's lace. It is gigantic. It's just started blooming. Look at that. It's just massive. I just think they're so pretty. This just grows like a weed here, probably because it is a weed, I don't know. Then I have my foxgloves still going strong. 3 big blooms here. And I definitely want to plant more of these next year, but this is the first time I've grown them, so I didn't really know what to expect. They're just a really beautiful flower. Then over on the back side, next to my pomegranate tree, I have our scabiosa, and these are getting pretty close to blooming. And then here's the back side of where I'm going to be putting most of my beans. So that's my plan for today, really just focused on this one bed. And while I'm at it, I'm going to be adding some compost to my chocolate mint container here. This is such a yummy smelling mint. And last year we had a quail nest back here, and I would forget about it. Every time I'd come around this bed, I would scare the poor little mama quail out of there, and it just made me feel so bad. And then she abandoned her nest. So we had little quail eggs in there with no mama. So I want to fill up the gaps, and hopefully that will deter them a little bit. So here's the bed with my other peppers. You can see the soil level where I've added it here and just in this one area, while I let my carrots and poppies, my garlic over here kind of finished up. In the next probably month or so, I'll keep raising the rest of the bed, but it's very lumpy, as you can see, but it's the best way I know to bring up that soil level gradually. So what I did here, I think this is a sweet pepper, but I just literally carefully dug under the roots, pulled it up, added my compost, and brought it up to the level that was more suitable. The other thing with it being so low is they weren't getting any sunlight. You can see back over here that they're just so low that it really does block them a lot from the sun. I'm gonna get my gloves on and get to work on this bed. I don't know if this is true of all peppers, but these have been fairly easy to dig up and keep intact, and it doesn't seem like they have a really long taproot that you have to deal with. I'm just going to, as gently as possible, pull that guy up. All right, so there he is. There's the root system. I'm just gonna place him over there for a minute. I started to question the sanity of my method here, but then I realized that a lot of people will dig up their peppers and overwinter them inside. So I guess it's the same thing, theoretically. I'm working on a video right now about my finished compost and how I'm sifting it and getting it ready to use. And this is part of that batch, which is complete and sifted and lovely. Yeah, this is taking way more than I thought it would. some more compost. Since this stuff on top is going back into my working pile, I'm also looking for rocks and things that aren't going to break down. These larger pieces like twigs and branches and pieces of wood and an avocado seed, they're going to take a while to break down, like a year or more. And then rocks, I don't want those. So there's definitely things that are going to take longer to break down, which is fine. I just don't want them in my finished pile. So that's why I go through this process, and I can pick out the stuff that I know shouldn't be in here, like rocks. Who keeps putting rocks in my compost? It's probably me, but still. Alright, I went ahead and quickly sifted another wheelbarrow of finished compost. The sprinkler is going to come on any minute and scare me to death. Even with as much compost as I have, and my system is pretty great, I love it, I know I'm spoiled in that respect, but I still have to buy soil because I have massively deep beds, and I think they're 6 feet in diameter. I should know this, 5 or 6 feet. So if you're considering getting a taller raised bed, there are a lot of benefits, but there are some drawbacks. The soil settling being one of them. You'll most likely be replenishing that for several years. I'm sure I've said this in other videos, but I'm on my 5th year of gardening, and I've been adding to these every year. So I'm hoping eventually it'll kind of slow down a little bit. It is one kind of drawback to a taller bed. The thing I do love about it, though, is that I don't have to bend over near as much as if I had like 12-inch beds. And the older I get, the more happy that makes me. Ah, I knew that was going to get me. I haven't shown you my irrigation system yet. I love this one because I can very easily move them around where I need them. These have lasted me over a year. I got them on Amazon. There's a link in the description of a lot of the garden products that I use. They're not that expensive. I think you get 6 of these kind of sprinkler heads with the 4-inch tubing and the connectors, and I really like them also because you can turn them off if I don't need them in this particular area, but I want the rest of the bed to get watered, and they're pretty variable, so I can turn it really low or pretty high. I do have each of my beds on its own timer so that I can really concentrate the water and keep the water pressure high, and be more efficient with how much water I'm actually using. Initially I didn't have it set up that way, but since last spring I've been doing it this way. It's made a huge difference with 1, my water bill, and 2, just the health of my plants. All right. I'm gonna plant these pretty densely here. Make sure I get some germination. feel good about these 2 pepper plants. And I cannot believe, basically 1/4 of the bed took 2 wheelbarrows full of compost. We're about 1 inch or 2 from the top here, as opposed to about 12 inches down there. Our pepper plants got a little upgrade, literally. Planted my pole beans down here. And I think next I'm going to cut some flowers. My roses are starting to pop open, and I could not be happier. It's a Colette climbing rose. I think I'm going to do a video of all of my rose bushes. I think I have 13 bushes and 10 different varieties, but this one was one of my favorites. This one right here is from a small bouquet that I got from a friend. They're just little purple blooms. And this one is called Quicksilver Climbing Rose. It's a beautiful lavender. It's really full and frilly. I'll definitely do a video of my rose bushes, but I just had to give you a preview of some of my first blooms. It's gonna look like I'm manhandling these, but I am manhandling these because they can take it and they will bounce back. These are not at their prime, but that's all right. To get this giant Queen Anne's lace, take a couple of those. Not sure how well cut lupin will do, but I'll try it. All right, I think I have enough here, and I definitely have some work to do. Well, I'm obviously not a professional flower arranger, but you really don't have to be when you have pretty flowers to work with. If you live in the desert and want to grow flowers, don't think that you can't, because if I can do it, you can do it. We've got roses and poppies, lupin, sweet pea, pansies, bachelor buttons, snapdragons, lots of options to grow in the desert. If you're a gardener, I don't know about you, but I have the hardest time letting good seedlings go to waste. So I had these extra tomato plants and I literally have nowhere else to put them. So I'm adding them here to the little blocks in my compost bin that I had designated for flowers, but I had a few extra spots, so I figured why not? Let's just see what happens and we'll just give them a chance to grow. For my birthday, I was blessed enough to have a visit from my favorite grandson, and he's the only one so far, so I can say that. And here he's helping me harvest the carrots. Around the last week of April, I sadly neglected my garden. I had other things I was working on. Except for a couple of absolutely necessary waterings, I just didn't spend a lot of time in the garden, and I knew I'd pay for it. I know, Mr. L, me too. What I find so interesting is even without me in it, my garden just wants to thrive. It just wants to live. Flowers want to bloom. They just seem to want to do the best they can for you. So yes, I had some extra pruning to do, and I lost a few blooms, but plants just never cease to amaze me. Thanks for following along in the garden this month. Even though it's a little late, I appreciate you joining me, and be sure to subscribe for future garden vlogs.